I'm amazed, man. The mindset shift that happens. And I was like, well, I don't get it. How? There's no way. I'm never going to be okay with it. And then once I was like, oh, I totally get why I'm okay with it now. And I think it was one of the most amazing gifts of the whole process was like, oh, I see now. It's not that I have to begrudgingly accept this. I'm like, kind of stoked about it.
How did it all begin for you?
As far back as I can remember, I was very obsessive about my hair. Blow dry it back, put some gel in it, and it spiked up. But my mom would say you would be obsessive. Like it had to look exactly a certain way. It was always this way, even through high school. So because of that, I'm sure it hit me very hard when I was probably like 21 or 22 and I first noticed my hairline change. What I did was, of course, ran and started doing my research and came to the conclusion it must just be a maturing hairline, which I feel like a lot of guys find that. And that's true. Some guys' hairlines change. That really wasn't the case for me, but I was convinced at that point, probably just that, but kept my eye on it, never stopped thinking about it. There are a couple moments I do remember. One was I was in the bathroom of my college girlfriend's apartment at the time, and we were going somewhere and I was looking at my hair, trying to fix it. And I remember asking her, do you think my hairline's receding? And she was walking by and she kind of came in and looked and she goes, I think it's probably just your hairline. And even that, I was like, what does that mean? It means it looks different. It looks weird. So of course, you just never stop thinking about it once you see it. Went on like that for quite some time. And then I think around 25, we were out somewhere. Someone had taken a video of like a group of friends. We were out somewhere and I had turned my head just a certain way. And I noticed now the crown was starting to go. And that was
Oh,
like,
really?
you got to be kidding. Like you could just see the scalp. Now, again, it was like, because I'm so obsessive, I'm sure no one else would have really paid much attention. It could have been a cowlick, natural swirl, whatever. I knew something was wrong. So then, of course, what I would do is I still had enough hair to kind of cover it. So it just became the obsessive grooming routine of styling it just right and putting the product in place so that it would kind of lay just a certain way and you could kind of hide.
Doing a lot of
Yeah,
those, right? Yeah. Okay.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. And then I would have products and I would get it right in place and lock it in and then no touch, like not touch it at all. Nothing could touch it. So even as far back as then, it was becoming this problem of, oh, well, I can't just jump in the water anymore, right? Like that's going to be an issue. That started all the way back then. And dude, I'm an outdoors love it. Like I love, we live out by the mountains now. I love to hike. I love to fish, snowboard. I loved in the summer to get out and kayak and paddleboard. I love this stuff. But all of a sudden I'm going, oh, I'm being limited by my what was my vanity, my, oh no, I can't let anyone see this. And as a young 20 something guy, felt like I can't be this young guy losing my hair. And I was living in Florida in the US, which is just really hot and humid all the time. And, now that I'm styling it all these very specific ways, and I'm trying to keep it looking a certain way, I'm sweating and all the products like running down my face and it's gross. So I had this moment and I thought, maybe I'll just kill two birds with one stone. Maybe I will make things more convenient and not have to worry about sweating and styling my hair anyway. And I'll just deal with this whole hair loss thing and I'll buzz my head. So I did. I buzzed my head. It wasn't anywhere near as short as what I'm doing now. It was just a kind of a regular buzz cut. And at the same time, I did start using Rogaine. So I wasn't completely committed. And this is what I mean. Like I did it. And what I'll say is the upshot of that was I got out of the way seeing myself with my head shaved. And I thought, hey, this isn't so bad. And after about 2 weeks, my eyes adjusted to it. And I got to be honest, man, I loved it. I had the beard was a little bit shorter and the buzz cut. And I thought, this is just great. Like it's convenient. And I'm not worrying about it anymore. And then all of a sudden the Rogaine kind of worked a little bit. So it was bringing back a little bit on the temples and the crown. And I go, I got this thing covered, man. This is it. Went on like that for like 3 years and I just loved it. Never thought I was going to grow my hair back out. Just thought this is great. I started working for a men's grooming company doing like digital marketing. And so now I'm surrounded every day by this culture of the beard grooming and the haircuts and the hair product and all this kind of stuff. So after a little while, it starts to kind of seep into your mind a little bit. And I'm like, I'm going to grow my hair back out. It's cool to go to a barber and we'll do that whole thing. And so, I grew it back out. Same problems, a little worse now maybe. But I did start going to a barber and thought, this is nice. Once a month or so, I'd go get it all cleaned up. And around this time, I actually found, and I thought, again, I think I found the solution, which was PRP therapy. Are you familiar with the platelet-rich plasma? Yeah. So I read about this whole thing. I don't know, man, looking back now, it's a very expensive thing to do. It's a very temporary thing. The results I saw were fine. Okay, and it lasted for a short time. And you're like, well, you have to do this like twice a year probably. And, for anyone not familiar, it's needles in your head. It's it's not fun. Doesn't feel good. Your head swells up and I felt at that point, like I can't do this to myself indefinitely. So kind of let that one go. Did consider for a hot minute a hair transplant. And it just never felt right. I'm not really, the other thing I could never do was like the Propecia finasteride stuff. Like the pharmaceutical route and the surgical route, something about it for me personally was never appealing or never really sat right with me. I just didn't want to go down that road. And the other thing too is, as you're going through all this, what I realized was there's a lack of acceptance because I feel like I was always under the impression like I'm going to figure it out, right? Like this is only temporary. At some point, I'll figure out the permanent solution. So I just have to get through the next however long. You know, the PRP stuff did not work. That didn't really, I wasn't a fan of it. Like I said, I was using the Rogaine, wasn't going to do the hair transplant. And probably around 2017, we were going back to Philadelphia for a friend of mine's wedding. And I found Topic.
Okay.
And I went, okay, let's give this a shot. I still remember standing in the bathroom. My wife and I we weren't married yet. We were in this place we were living in Texas. And I remember standing in the bathroom, putting it in and looking. And that first time you see it, you go, oh, hey, this just fixed everything. Are you kidding me? Like I just got my hair back, right? What you don't realize at that moment is what you've just committed yourself to, which is what I realized as time went on. But like in that moment, I thought, I just solved everything, man. So I got a little travel size one, right? And I would fill that up with the Topic. And mind you, this whole time, you know, I met my now wife in 2015. We started dating. So what is happening now is all through the course of your life, you're hiding this little secret from more and more people, more and more times throughout your day. Now I'm living with my fiance and I'm still trying to hide my hair from her, even just around the house. And then what happens, you know, so again, that even progresses down the road with the fibers and all. But so now I'm using fibers and we're traveling and I'm trying to like get ready in private so that I can just for a second or two get the fibers in so she doesn't notice and hide that, you know. But hey, who cares? Once you get it in and once you're out the door, you know, I don't have to worry about anything, right? I don't have to duck my head in any direction or worry about putting my back to the wall or anything like that. And all those neurotic behaviors that kind of develop after a while. So, yeah, you know, the fibers seem like a game changer for a little bit until, this is another specific memory. I had to go on a business trip. I was working for a foundation on the East Coast and I had to go back to Virginia. And it was me and there were two women I was working with and we got caught in the rain leaving the restaurant, walking back to where they had put us up in this hotel. And the two women were kind of jogging through the rain and I had to hold my bag up over my head because I had fibers in my hair. And I thought, I can't even run in the rain. Like I'm more worried about my hair getting wet and anyone noticing. And that was the first time I thought like, oh, this sort of sucks. I don't love this. As time goes on, all of a sudden those fibers become a thing because you're realizing if I walk out the door looking like this and people see me looking like this, my friends, my family, who's coworker, that's what they think. They can't see it differently now. So any situation I'm in, I have to make sure. So even down to, you don't think about it, but I mean, my goodness, man, we'd have friends come over and stay at our place or family come stay at our place. I have to get up in the morning and put fibers in my hair or go to sleep at night and prop my head up a certain way so my hair doesn't touch anything and get the fibers on the pillowcase and it doesn't get messed up. So I can get up in the morning and just you know, that kind of stuff, man. The fact that my hair, there was a couple gentlemen on your channel have just said so many amazing things that I resonated with after the fact. Like, wow, I didn't realize that. And I remember one guy talking about the quality of his hair and how your hair is diminishing, but you're not really seeing it for what it is, right? So like sometimes when I would get a good glimpse of how thin my hair was getting, and then I would put it all together, your hair becomes like an art installation more than hair, right? Like you're doing it certain ways and you lock it in place and it's like a helmet and you don't want, and I would remember just touching my hair and it just felt brittle and it felt dry and it didn't even feel like healthy hair anymore, but you're still just obsessing about it because it's this thing about people can't possibly see me without hair or know that I'm losing my hair.
Was this kind of, you used the word there, obsession and it being on your mind, was it building and building and building as these kind of different progressions went on?
Oh, my goodness. Absolutely, man. You know, and, you know, the other thing then, because I said I didn't want to go the pharmaceutical route or anything like that, I would try all the natural approaches, which then become very tedious and time consuming, right? So the things I tried, again, I don't know if this was a popular one, but I found head massages. Like there was a whole theory about the tightness of the skin, holding DHT.
Things, yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. So there's these protocols for these like 15-minute head massages, like 2 to 3 times a day. So now think about that. You're committing to like 30 minutes. I've got to just sort of disappear for 15 minutes and massage my head every day for months and months. The red light, you know, the red light stuff, the caps and all that kind of stuff. Again, a big time commitment. The derma rollers, right? All the natural oils. And again, the natural oils were so heavy and gross and my hair was already getting thinner that it would just make it so greasy that I'd have to wash my hair every time I use the stuff, which only makes your hair drier, which only makes it more brittle. So there was just, again, it was stuff that it was more and more and more time and more worry and more like little routines. Like if I get up at this time and do this to this, that's enough time to leave it in before I have to wash it out before. Like, man, the amount of brain power and the amount of energy that was going towards the attempt to grow it back, the attempt to hide it, the attempt to just style it just so or have it fall in just the right way was overwhelming. It occupies more space in your mind. It occupies more, time that you're thinking about it and more resources that you're trying to buy stuff and use things and all this kind of crazy, the shampoos and all. I mean, we're talking about, I just realized this when I was talking with you when we were messaging before the interview, but like I realized, my goodness, man, like 16 years and I'm 38 years old. Like I spent over a decade and a half of my life with this being an everyday concern. It's incredible to think about that, and what I could have done with that energy had I sort of redirected it somewhere else. But again, that's the journey. You don't really get it until you get it. So I had this anxiety for a long time too about it. Another one that I kept thinking about was, so I told you about my fiance, we get married, both want kids. And I went, what am I going to do? What am I going to do as a dad? Right? Because I want to play with my kid. I want to have fun. I want to go do stuff. I want to be outside. How am I going to do this? How am I going to constantly keep myself covered up? And what happens if she touches my head and gets it on her hand? Oh no. How do I explain that to her? All these silly things. And that was an anxiety. And then my daughter was born. And it's like, now I'm confronted with it. And I'm realizing like, I'm not doing certain things, or I'm leaning, to lean your head certain ways. Don't turn your back. Don't pick things up leaning over, things like that. And so I'll tell you how I got to what led. And it's like, it's a little bit of a heavy moment, but it was totally worth it. Both of my parents had pretty bad health concerns and surgeries within 2 weeks of each other. And it was all out of the blue. Right before my dad's situation, before my mom's surgery, we had to do a bunch of appointments. And I still remember it, man. I was standing in the bathroom upstairs in this house right now. And we were going to an oncologist appointment for my mom. And they were going to have some results about possible cancer. And it was like, I'm standing in the bathroom. I'm getting ready to leave to go pick my parents up and drive to the city. And I'm standing in the mirror doing my hair, my little routine. And dude, it was like I stopped and I stepped outside. It was like I stepped outside of myself and I just thought, what are you doing in this right now, right today? Like with all things going on, you're worried about your hairline, dude. You're worried about putting powder in your hair. I can't do it anymore. And that was it. Like I had been watching your stuff. I said I was a fan of the channel. I had seen you forever. I always looked at you. I'm like, well, yeah, look at him. He's like Jason Statham. He's got the accent and the facial hair. He looks good. Like I'm not going to be able to pull that off. I can't. These guys all look great when they shave their head. I'm not going to look. Typical stuff I'm sure you probably hear. So your stuff always resonated with me because you just seem so zen and so cool about it. And I'm like, there's got to be a way to get there at some point. And I just kept looking through them. And suddenly I started to really listen to those stories again. And I was going, oh no, this is me. These are things that felt like, well, that's not me. I'm not doing that. Oh, good. If I ever get to that point, man, it's going to be a different story for me. And you don't realize it's not going to be. You're going to fall in the same traps and, be victim to the same kind of like that culture that scares you about, oh, this is the worst possible thing. So yeah, that was the day, man. I said, I don't think I can do this anymore. I think I have to shave my head. And that was the first step. And then I still didn't want to admit why. So I remember, and this was another great moment. I came downstairs and my wife was like cleaning some stuff up in the kitchen. My daughter was playing. I go, yeah, I think I'm going to shave my head. And she goes, oh, cool. Why? And I said, well, spring's coming in, weather's going to get warmer. I don't really feel like dealing with it. And she's like, oh, great. And I was going to walk away and I stopped and I went, that's not true. And she goes, what do you mean? And I go, that's not why I'm going to shave my head. And I just started talking to her and I told her everything. She later admitted, she's like, I noticed, right? I'm your wife. Like, I've noticed. I was like, you did? She goes, I never cared. She's like, you remember when we met, you were shaving your head and you had a beard. I always liked that look. I'm fine. I don't date you for your hair. I'm not with you for your hair. So she said, yeah, I noticed. I didn't really care. And I went, oh my God. So all that obsession, I wasn't even hiding it. You know what I mean? But I told her everything and she was just amazed. Like, you're telling me you don't hate getting in the water? Like, no, actually I don't. It's just, I couldn't. Is that why you lean down like this to pick things up? Yeah. Is that why you would turn the motion alert off on the Ring camera out front when you would leave? Yeah. Because I wouldn't want you to ever get the alert, open it and see back here if I don't have fibers in, And as we're talking, she goes, you could tell she was getting like sad for me. And she said, it sounds so obsessive. It sounds like it almost obsessive compulsive how you were with it. And I go, I can't even explain how overwhelming it gets sometimes, the stress and the anxiety. over such a thing. That was the moment I just told her. And once I told her, and once she reacted so positively, like, you dope, I don't care. Like, you can shave your head. But that was it. She was like, go for it. In fact, I said, do you want to do it when I'm ready? She said, yes, 100%. So when the day came, about a week later,
Right.
we put our daughter to bed and headed up to the bathroom. And yeah, and she shaved it off. And the funny thing was, when she did, it was like a short buzz cut. And as soon as she did, I realized, nah, I just want to go shorter. Like, I realized now, just take it. There's no reason to not just get rid of all of it. And I think that first moment was very freeing, but it took another 2 weeks for my eyes to adjust and really get into it. And then I found that I absolutely love it, man. It's great. And all the anxiety that you think, oh no, all these people. So I'll give you another great example. I had to get on a work call, and the first two people on are always me and the same woman. I've worked with this woman for like 3.5 years. She sees me on Zoom calls every week, at least 2, 3 times a week. I hop on the call. She's on. I turn on the camera. I say, hey, Kathy. She looks up and she goes, hey, whoa, you got a haircut. Said, yeah. She goes, that looks really good. Man, that must be so convenient. I wish I could do that. It must be awesome. So anyway, for the meeting today, and that was it. And that was the reaction everybody had. Everyone, I showed my buddies, they're like, oh, sick. What made you do that? And then I start telling them, and they go, well, I never realized you were losing your hair, dude. And then I have friends who are dealing with hair loss. Then they start talking about, yeah, I've been thinking about this or that, and I don't know how I feel about it, and I don't really want to. And it's amazing how once you open up about it, once you're cool with it and you realize, oh, this is not that big of a deal, everyone else kind of talks about it in the same way. And you realize this was never, it was all built up in my mind. The huge and the world ending impact I thought this was going to have on everything is not really how it worked at all. It was about 5 seconds of everyone's day, and they've all moved on since. Man, it has been absolutely wonderful. I know I told you this when we first talked, but one of the greatest compliments I got was just a few weeks ago, hanging out on the couch with my wife, and we're watching something. We're joking back and forth, and we're laughing. And she just looks at me unprovoked, and she goes, since you shaved your head, you've just been way more confident, and it's really attractive. I just want you to know that. And I thought, the whole time you're worrying, like, oh, I'm going to be unattractive if I lose my hair. And you realize now, like, it's just, that little bit of extra confidence, the way you carry yourself, you don't realize what it's doing to you when you're trying to hide this little secret. And you think the hair, hiding it, is going to make you more confident, but it's making you more neurotic about everything. And the real freedom comes when you just don't have to worry about it at all anymore. It's been a real wild ride, but coming to the other side of it has been amazing, because you do realize that, like, it's a whole different chapter. And to be in this chapter, it's hard to explain or make sense to the ones in the first chapter exactly how it works or exactly what it feels like. And there's so many great things that guys have posted on your channel. I'm just so grateful for them. And one guy I recently had posted something, I think you shared it, about like shaving the head, and that little bit of liberation is kind of just the last physical piece.
Yeah.
It's like getting rid of that, all the stress and all the worry, all of the, I'm not going to play the game of the hair loss industry anymore. I'm not going to buy the products. I'm not going to do this. I have a life to live, and this allows me to go live it. I'm going to do that, man. And it really is. I think shaving my head was just the last part. I was already free the minute I decided this doesn't matter anymore, and no one's going to make me feel any kind of way about it, because I'm going to dig it. I'm going to be into it. I'm going to make it work for me. The minute that happened, everything already shifted. The shaving the head was just the last physical part of it, man. But yeah, it's been a wild ride, but I'm really happy to be on this side of it.
So many points there that I can personally resonate with, and I know the guys that will listen who are in that bit that you mentioned. Maybe the hair fibers, they got the routines. It's then neurotic, like you described there. Even with partners being on the sofa next to them, maybe for them it's the cap, right? And they've even got to wear it around the house. And
Right.
I think it will give them a lot of encouragement to know that truly, like, it can be so much better on the other side. So thank you so much, man.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. Let me share a little bit of my story. It's been awesome.